Hello and welcome to Newsweek South Asia, a program that exposes Pakistan's role and nexus in promoting global terrorism and its funding. Here are the headlines. Dreaded terrorist in Pakistan on the fray for general elections. Anti-Terrorism Act misused by Islamabad in occupied Gilgit, Baltistan. India accuses Pakistan for sponsoring terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir. And election year witnesses more terror attacks in Afghanistan, says UN body. Let's begin the show with Pakistan, which is known for nurturing terrorism. The country remains home to many terror outfits who have been enjoying the patronage of Pakistan Army and spy agency, the ISI. As the country is ready to go for polls on July 25th, there are many terrorists who are on the fray for Pakistan general elections. We have a report.
Meet Maulana Fazlur Rahman Khalil, a cleric who was placed by the US government on specially designated global terrorist list on September 2014 for his alleged role in Harkatul Mujahideen militant organization. Khalil recently extended his support to Imran Khan's party, Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, in the general elections. In the run to win the elections, almost all other parties have struck fustian bargains with one or the other radical Islamist parties. Leaders and candidates have been virtually prostrating themselves before the leaders of the extremist Sunni party, Al-Sunnat wal Jamaat, the new avatar of Sipahi-e-Sahaba Pakistan, seeking their support in their constituencies, especially in Punjab and Karachi. Experts believe Pakistanis need to be more concerned over the deep inroads made by the Islamist groups in the country's politics.
It is will not augur well. It won't be nice for the new democracy which is coming up, or Pakistan is struggling to become democracy. But this will show to the Committee of Nations that what is the reality of Pakistan. And once again I say, the Pakistan army must be approached by all the world leaders and made to explain that until and unless they come to the democratic value systems, this will not work out. It will be against the peaceful development in the regional areas around the border. India will be affected, other countries will be affected.
Lashkar-e-Toiba's political wing, Milli Muslim League, and the extremist Barelvi Muslim Party, Tehreek-e-Labbaik Pakistan, have incidentally put up more candidates than the Pakistan People's Party in the Punjab Assembly elections. Mumbai terror attack mastermind Hafiz Saeed is aggressively campaigning to make inroads into Pakistan's mainstream politics. He is fighting elections on the agenda of its anti-India and anti-US campaign.
If Hafiz Saeed in Pakistan has not been removed, obviously Pakistan as a government has decided to rehabilitate Hafiz Saeed. That's what it means. He probably is thinking of electioneering. He's thinking of a political post. So all these things are also included. You see, when a country wants to head towards democratic systems, then they take all the necessary steps. I am not saying that a terrorist should be allowed to continue, but the question is, we have to go into the fact. If Hafiz Saeed is working towards becoming a peaceful political body, then it has to be seen. Otherwise, Pakistan should take necessary action against this gentleman so that he does not continue his terrorist activities at all.
General elections 2018 has been violence-filled and full of controversy, giving rise to great uncertainty over the future of the country. In the span of 1 week, 3 deadly attacks in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Balochistan led to the death of over 150 people and saw over 250 getting injured. Former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif and his daughter Maryam have been jailed after they were convicted, along with his son-in-law Safdar, on charges of corruption related to the ownership of 4 luxurious flats in London. In the aftermath of the conviction, the police opened criminal cases against 17,000 members of Sharif's Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz PMLN, which just completed a 5-year term in power. The impact of these developments on the elections remains uncertain for now. Experts believe elections in Pakistan already remained violent and rigged.
A lot of political leaders have lost their lives in the electioneering processes. I think Madam Bhutto also was one of them, and so all the names you have taken. But the question is that we must understand that Pakistan Army supports these radical elements to remain in power. Ever since Pakistan Army changed its stand and took a religious mantle after Ziaul Haq's time, they have now become very, holier than thou from the religious angle, and that is why they have to support these people, and these people support them to remain in power. So it is you scratch my back and I scratch your back. It's the same system going on. So these terrorist organizations are also pro-army, and Pakistan Army has to support them because they have no other choice.
The Independent Human Rights Commission of Pakistan said there were ample grounds to doubt the legitimacy of the elections and criticized blatant, aggressive and unabashed attempts to manipulate the outcome of the upcoming elections. In a statement issued recently, the group added it reaffirms the public perception that all parties have not been given equal freedom to run the election campaigns. The larger participation of the hardline Islamist and terrorists in the elections has raised concerns for the international community.
Now we take you to Gilgit, Baltistan, a part of erstwhile princely state of Jammu and Kashmir, which remains under Pakistani occupation for the past 7 decades. Recently, the people of Gilgit, Baltistan have been subjected to severe human rights violation, extrajudicial killings and enforced disappearances. Recently, the infamous Anti-Terrorism Act of Pakistan is being enforced on the residents. Newsweek South Asia has a report.
In a flagrant violation of the law, the Anti-Terrorism Act of Pakistan, which was introduced to expeditiously bring the perpetrators of terror to justice, has become a tool of extrajudicial killings and repression for the autocratic establishment of Islamabad. Security forces have been brazenly misusing the law in occupied territory of Gilgit-Baltistan. Security forces have been brazenly misusing the law in occupied territory of Gilgit-Baltistan. The activists and other reasonable voices from across the region are being arbitrarily arrested, detained, and sometimes even hacked to death on pretext of homeland security. The Inter-Services Intelligence, which plays an instrumental role in preparing the list of the people to be tried under Section 4, an even despotic and ambiguous section of the law, has shortlisted as many as 140 people from Gilgit-Baltistan.
हम ये समझ रहे थे ये इसलिए लाया जा रहा है यहाँ से फिर कबारियत का खात्मा हो, ये इसलिए लाया जा रहा है कि यहाँ से नौबहरियात का खात्मा हो। मगर अब मुझे बताओ गिलगित बल्तिस्तान में कौन सी फिर कबारियत है, यहाँ पर कौन से नौबहरियात बने हुए हैं, यहाँ पे कौन से रियासत मुखालिफ तहरीकें चल रही है। अगर इसके बावजूद भी तुम यहाँ पे शेड्यूल 4 नाफिज करना चाहोगे, अगर एटीएम कोड को तुम तकवीत देना चाहोगे, तो याद रखें जिस तरह टैक्सेस को हम मुस्तरद कर सकते हैं, 2018 को हम मुस्तरद कर सकते हैं, इसी तरह ये आर्डर भी, ये एटीएम कोड भी गैर कानूनी है और ये शेड्यूल 4 भी गैर कानूनी है।
Experts believe people in Gilgit-Baltistan are annoyed by the exploitation and persecution by Pakistan.
तो लोगों में काफ़ी गुस्सा है पाकिस्तान के खिलाफ। अभी 28 मई को जो एक ऑर्डर पास किया था वो एक कोशिश है उसको गिलगिट बाल्टिस्तान को 5वां प्रांत बनाने की। तो लोग वहाँ पे प्रोटेस्ट कर रहे हैं क्योंकि लॉ वगैरह जो भी कोई कानून बनाने की जो शक्तियाँ हैं वो प्राइम मिनिस्टर के पास चली गई हैं। इसलिए जब लोग प्रोटेस्ट कर रहे हैं तो वहाँ पे लोगों को एंटी टेररिस्ट एक्ट सेक्शन 4 में अंदर बंद करके ट्रायल किया जा रहा है, जबकि वो नॉर्मल ह्यूमन राइट्स के ऊपर, डेवलपमेंट के ऊपर, बाकी चीज़ों के ऊपर प्रोटेस्ट है। तो एक तरह से वहाँ पे गिलगिट बाल्टिस्तान में जो हो रहा है वो ह्यूमन राइट वायलेशन है। सब कुछ पाकिस्तान के इशारे पे होता है और वहाँ से उनको ख़त्म किया जा रहा है एक तरह से।
The Schedule 4, which was essentially formulated to keep a judicial vigil on those indirectly associated with the terrorist organizations or with previous criminal records, has been used as an instrument to muzzle the dissenting voices of the region that has dared to raise against the establishment. Pakistan's nefarious designs have been exposed time and again. Earlier, Baba Jan, a renowned political personality of the region, was also held through this act and was sentenced to life imprisonment. Anguished leaders of the region say that Islamabad has no jurisdiction to impose and target the people of the region. They also say that Pakistan has exploited their innocence and ignorance.
आज तक हमने एंटी टेररिज्म कोड को अगर गिलगित बल्तिस्तान में बर्दाश्त किया है तो ये हमारा बड़प्पन है, हमारी कमजोरी नहीं है, हमारी कमजोरी नहीं है। आज तक हमने शेड्यूल 4 को गिलगित बल्तिस्तान में कबूल किया है तो ये हमारा बड़प्पन है, और वो इसलिए कबूल किया था, तुम्हारी चाल से ना बलद थे, तुम्हारी साजिश से ना वाकिफ थे।
It is believed that Islamabad is acting on the behest of Beijing to make success the multi-billion-dollar China-Pakistan economic corridor, which passes through the illegally occupied territory of Gilgit-Baltistan.
देखिए, वो टेरिटरी तो इलीगली ऑक्युपाइड है ही, क्योंकि वो पाकिस्तान ऑक्युपाइड कश्मीर का हिस्सा है जो लीगल तौर पे भारत का अभिन्न अंग है, जो हमारा इंस्ट्रूमेंट ऑफ असेशन साइन किया है उसके हिसाब से। अब पाकिस्तान ने उस पर कब्जा कर लिया है और वहाँ पे लोगों को कोई वोटिंग राइट नहीं है, वहाँ पे कोई भी सहूलत नहीं है, डेवलपमेंट नाम की कोई चीज़ नहीं है। जो ये कॉरिडोर बनाया जा रहा है ये वहाँ से गुजरेगा और इस प्रांत को कंट्रोल करना पाकिस्तान के लिए बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट है, क्योंकि ये प्रांत एक लिंक है चाइना और पाकिस्तान के बीच में। इसलिए अगर यहाँ पे कोई बगावत होती है तो पाकिस्तान उसको कुचलने की पूरी कोशिश करेगा।
Army generals working in cahoots with the tyrants of Islamabad have exploited the people of this region for more than 7 decades, and today, when the people have started asking for their rightful share of rights, they are being subjected to extreme high-handedness. In recent times, a slew of suppressive legislation has been forced upon the people of Gilgit-Baltistan in a quiet bid to keep them marginalized and deprived. Any voice seeking to peacefully combat the status quo has been crushed with brute force.
Moving on, Pakistan-backed terrorists continue to carry out attacks in Jammu and Kashmir with an aim to create instability in the region. Recently, India has hit back at Pakistan over its comments on the alleged human rights abuse in Kashmir. New Delhi has also told Islamabad to stop supporting terrorism and terrorist entities which are operating out of Pakistan. We have a report.
Pakistan, which remains a safe haven for terror outfits, has once again been slammed by India for promoting terrorism and spreading malicious propaganda in the name of Kashmir. India's Ministry of External Affairs spokesperson Ravish Kumar said that Islamabad had to first stop terrorism emanating from its soil. He further spoke about the Pakistan Foreign Office raising concern over shifting of women separatist leader Saida Asiya Andrabi to Tihar jail and detention of Hurriyat leaders Shabbir Ahmad Shah, Masrat Alam Bhatt. Andrabi was arrested by the National Investigation Agency under the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act (UAPA) for allegedly carrying out secessionist activity and waging war against India.
From this forum, several times I have reacted on the same issue. You see, I think they sometimes forget that, what they preach, they don't follow. And time and again, we have told them that, they have to stop supporting terrorism. They have to stop supporting terrorist entities which are operating out of Pakistan. I think that is something on which they have taken no action. So, I don't think I need to kind of always dignify whatever they have to say. I think our position on this remains very clear and consistent.
This response comes days after the Pakistan's role in the United Nations report on Kashmir, which falsely accused the Indian security forces of human rights violations. Recently, in a sensational revelation, a Pakistani Islamist based in Canada had admitted that the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, Zaid Rad Al Hussein, was in constant touch with him while preparing the human rights report on Kashmir. Zafar Bangash, who lives in Toronto in Canada, is an Islamic movement journalist and an imam at the Islamic Society of York Region's Mosque.
I can say to you, and I say it with all humility, but with great pride, that we, the Friends of Kashmir, also have a role in the production of this report. In fact, I have personal correspondence with the High Commissioner for Human Rights, email correspondence in which he responded to my personal letter and email saying that he would like to have access to both line of control. That means in Azad Kashmir as well as in Indian occupied Kashmir.
Despite all accusations, Jammu and Kashmir state continues to suffer as militants who are trained and supported by Pakistan attacked the residence of Ghulam Muhaddin of National Conference Party. A policeman was killed and another seriously injured in the attack. The security forces intensified its cordon and search operations in the state that led to an encounter in the Sopore district.
इसी दौरान पार्टी लगी हुई थी तो एक 3 बंदे मोटरसाइकिल पे आए और वो पार्टी भी फायर करके चले गए। वही हमारे किसी भी जवान का कोई नुकसान नहीं है। कॉर्डन कर रखा है हमने, अभी घेरा डाल रखा है, देखते हैं जल्दी पकड़े जाएंगे, कहीं नहीं जाएंगे।
Be it the Taliban, Haqqani Network, Lashkar-e-Toiba or Jaish Mohammad, Pakistan remains a safe haven for these dreaded terror organizations. Working on the behest of Pakistan's army and intelligence agencies, these outfits are creating mayhem in Jammu and Kashmir since 1989.
Let's move on to Afghanistan, where another bomb blast in the city of Kabul has raised more questions on the Ashraf Ghani government. On the other hand, the United Nations published a report which mentioned the spike in the terrorist attack by the various non-state actors in the country. Newsweek South Asia has a look.
Another terror strike in Afghanistan's capital city of Kabul. This time, a suicide blast took place close to the Ministry of Rural Rehabilitation and Development that killed at least 10 people. The Islamic State claimed responsibility for the attack. This is the second attack on the ministry in just over a month.
آمدم اینجا که ببینم که اینجا معلوم نیست تلفنش گل است تلفنم جواب نمیده ما خودم پریشان هستیم.
The attack comes days after the United Nations Assistance Mission in Afghanistan said 1,692 civilians were killed during the first 6 months of 2018, the most recorded in the period over the last decade since the agency began documentation. This happens to be the year when Afghanistan goes to the elections. The combined use of suicide and non-suicide IEDs caused nearly half of all civilian casualties. Continuing the trends first documented last year by UNAMA, the majority of IED casualties were caused by suicide and complex attacks, which again were responsible for record-high civilian casualties. Among 1,413 civilian casualties includes 427 deaths, 986 injuries. This is a 22% increase in the attacks.
Yes, this is an election year and one was expecting greater stability as far as the Afghan situation is concerned, to be running through an election, proper election and having a democratic government elected. Of course, the President of Afghanistan has to take the blame for it. In spite of the fact that there has been a spike in the deployment of UN troops. After all, they had about 8,000 earlier, which was increased by about 3,000 by President Trump. But of course, though there was an increase of 3,000, actually more than 8,000 troops were already there in Afghanistan. NATO is also increasing its commitment. In fact, today's report is that even England is going to increase its commitment. So, with all these forces also, they have not been able to bring the situation to a point where a free and fair election can be assured across Afghanistan.
terror organizations based in Pakistan want to overthrow the democratic government in Afghanistan as they have no faith in the so-called democratic laws and demand the establishment of the Sharia law in the state. People living in Kabul, Nangarhar, Helmand and Kandahar were among those who were most impacted by the conflict. The problem, however, would start where the terrorist organizations based in Pakistan targets the democratic government in Kabul.
I think almost everything that you see in Afghanistan has got a Pakistani hand behind it. They are the ones who calibrate the whole story. If you look into these terrorist groups, whether it's Al-Qaeda, whether it's Taliban, whether it's Haqqani, or whether it's the IS group, the IS Khorasan province, that as they call it, ISKP, a lot of them, and in fact most of them, have their bases in Pakistan. They also have some bases across in Afghanistan. When they're under pressure in Afghanistan, they cross over to bases in Pakistan.
US General John Nicholson, who has led US and NATO forces in the country since 2016, echoed US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, who last week promised US support for Afghan President Ashraf Ghani's bid to start peace talks with the Taliban. But experts believe that the Taliban wouldn't appear for the peace talks.
Basically, such offers to terrorist groups are successful. You get them to the table when you have broken the back of the terrorist groups and they understand it very clearly. They have no future in terms of pursuing their mission through armed means. That's when they normally come to the negotiating table. And when you have the upper hand over the terrorist groups, that's when you can push your agenda through. At the moment, it's, I would say, at par with both the sides having equal kind of success. After all, when you look at it, perhaps 60-65% of the area is under the government's control. The balance is either being contested or under control of the Taliban or other groups. So I don't really see them all of a sudden coming in for dialogue at this point in time.
With just 3 months remaining until the elections, the Afghan government needs to convince its citizens that it is capable of holding free and fair elections and safeguarding them while doing so. If it cannot protect the voters and successfully carry out an election, the legitimacy of the government and its democratic institutions will suffer.
And with that, we come to the end of this edition of Newsweek South Asia. We will be back next week with more news, views and analysis from the subcontinent. Meanwhile, do keep writing to us at nwsa@ani.com. This is Surbhi Sharma signing off on the behalf of entire production team of Newsweek South Asia. Goodbye and take care.